It began with a whisper from the void, a faint, cryptic murmur sent by a lone probe that humanity launched in 1977. Voyager 1, built with what is now ancient technology, continues to journey into the most desolate, mysterious, and silent corners of the cosmos. More than 4 decades have passed since its launch, and against every expectation, it remains active, still transmitting signal from beyond the solar system. Its instruments, built with 1970s-era hardware, including magnetic tape and rudimentary computing systems, should have long since gone dark. And yet, Voyager 1 persists, continuing to speak in data packets that reach Earth over 14 billion miles away. But this time, what it sent back wasn't ordinary data. It was something different, something so baffling that even the most seasoned NASA scientists reportedly froze when they first saw it. This was not just a glitch or a corrupted transmission. What Voyager 1 uncovered in the void was so strange, so outside our understanding, that it might reshape the very framework through which we interpret the cosmos. Originally, Voyager 1's mission was brief and focused, flybys of Jupiter and Saturn, gathering images and data before drifting into interstellar space as a silent emissary. But the spacecraft exceeded its goals in ways no one predicted. It passed the gas giants, exited the influence of our sun, and is now sailing through a realm where solar winds fade into the broader galactic environment, an area we call interstellar space. There, far from the warmth of any star, Voyager continues its impossible journey. In that unfathomable darkness, where radiation and ancient particles roam free, Voyager has found something that might be more than just a natural anomaly, something that may be watching. NASA technicians were carrying out routine monitoring of the Deep Space Network when they first noticed the anomaly. Hidden among the standard telemetry and data logs was a signal, a pattern that didn't match anything Voyager had sent before. At first, it was dismissed as interference or random noise, a harmless hiccup in transmission. But the signal repeated. Its frequency was consistent, precise, too precise to be natural. Plasma events, solar echoes, and interstellar static were all considered and ruled out. This was something else, something structured. Its rhythmic pulses followed a form that seemed almost mathematical, an order that nature rarely produces on its own. Chaos is a norm in space, but this pattern, this message, suggested intention. It suggested design. Scientists began poring over the data, reanalyzing past transmissions and comparing old anomalies to the new one. Slowly, a chilling realization took hold. Tiny fluctuations they previously dismissed or labeled inconsequential were beginning to reveal a larger pattern. And there was something else, something far stranger. An echo, a reflection in the signal that didn't belong. It was as if Voyager's data had bounced off something, or worse, had been answered. Imagine shouting into a canyon and hearing a whisper return, one that didn't quite match your voice. That's what researchers were seeing in the data. Some even began to speculate, quietly and cautiously, that Voyager might not be alone. When the probe crossed the heliopause, the outer boundary where the solar wind meets the interstellar medium, it entered a zone of silence. Scientists had expected turbulence, chaos, a storm of particles and radiation clashing. Instead, they encountered a strange stillness, as if the probe had passed through a veil into a different kind of space. And now, this very region is the epicenter of the unexplained phenomenon. Plasma densities are fluctuating in ways that defy models. Magnetic fields are twisting into unfamiliar patterns. Temperatures are spiking and falling with no discernible cause. The laws of physics, so reliable within our solar system, are beginning to behave strangely. This is not just unfamiliar terrain. It is perhaps terrain shaped by something unknown. As engineers studied the telemetry, an even more disturbing detail emerged. Certain packets of data returned too fast, faster than they should have, given Voyager's distance. Others never returned at all. These anomalies weren't simple timing errors. They suggested that the transmission path itself had been altered. Something out there might be interfering with the signals. The analogy used by one mission scientist was unsettling. Imagine tossing a bottle into the ocean, only to find it returned. Not just read, but edited, its message changed. This wasn't just a failure of hardware or a glitch in the system. It felt like tampering, a manipulation not by the spacecraft, but by something else. Even more disturbing was the discovery that Voyager had activated dormant sections of its programming, lines of code buried deep within its ancient software, untouched for decades. These subroutines, some written in the 1970s and unused since the probe's original planetary flybys, had been quietly reawakened. No command from Earth had initiated this. Voyager had simply begun looping through them, like an old machine reciting a forgotten language. One NASA software engineer said it was like watching an outdated computer suddenly begin running a program from its past, unbidden and unprompted, as if remembering something. But what told it to remember? What caused it to reactivate these obsolete systems? No one could. The magnetic readings from the spacecraft added yet another layer to the mystery. Voyager's instruments began picking up fluctuations in the magnetic field, patterns too clean, too symmetrical to be explained by natural phenomena. Some scientists described them as magnetic lattices or scaffolding, as if the spacecraft had entered a space where magnetism wasn't just present, it was arranged. Even more unnerving, these magnetic patterns began to mirror Voyager's path, shifting as the probe moved. It was as if space itself were aware of Voyager's presence and responding to it. Some researchers, privately and without official acknowledgement, began comparing these findings to theoretical models of wormholes, space-time anomalies that could serve as gateways or conduits between distant regions of the universe. Was Voyager nearing such a gateway, or had it already passed through one without our realizing? In internal NASA communications, a new term began circulating, artifact. It was used not to describe something material or visible, but rather a presence, a suggestion of something that defied classification. Some insiders began referring to it as a shadow, something that lingered just beyond Voyager's trajectory, always nearby yet never directly observed. Of course, no one dared suggest, at least not publicly, that it might be artificial. Not yet, but the implications were becoming harder to ignore. What Voyager had encountered might not be a natural phenomenon at all. It might be something else, something built, something sentient, or something ancient and unknown. Voyager 1 was meant to be a message in a bottle, an offering to the stars, carrying Earth's sounds, languages, and music aboard its golden record. It was launched with hope, not expectation. It was never supposed to come back. And yet now, as it drifts farther than any human object has ever traveled, it is whispering back, not only messages but questions. This latest transmission is not just a signal. It is a rupture, a crack in the illusion of cosmic silence. Somewhere between the stars, something has heard us, and now, perhaps, it is speaking in return. Whether the explanation is natural or something beyond comprehension, one thing is certain. The universe has just become a lot stranger. And Voyager 1, our tiny emissary from a pale blue dot, may have just crossed into territory we were never meant to find. The greatest mysteries may not lie in distant galaxies or buried on exoplanets, but right here, between the stars, in the spaces we once thought were empty. Something is out there, and now we know. It knows we're here. What Voyager may first have stumbled into is not just another anomaly in space, but something that calls into question our most foundational assumptions about the universe. For decades, we have viewed space as a mostly empty expanse, a void dotted with stars and galaxies, governed by known laws of physics. We believe that in the vast stretches between those bright points, there existed only silence and the cold echo of ancient light. Voyager's new transmission is challenging that belief, because silence is no longer just absence. It is now presence, something that listens, something that perhaps waits. The implications are staggering. For one, the idea that a spacecraft could pass through, on a cloaked structure, a phenomenon completely undetectable to our instruments until the probe made contact, is the stuff of science fiction. Or at least, it used to be. And yet, the data shows patterns that cannot be dismissed as coincidence, geometrical symmetry in magnetic fields, repeating pulses in data interruptions, anomalies in transmission delays. These are not the chaotic byproduct of an old spacecraft struggling in deep space. They are hints that Voyager might be brushing against something intentional, something possibly designed. And if so, by whom? Or by what? No one at NASA has officially used the term extraterrestrial in any press briefing. But the conversation is happening quietly behind closed doors, not because there is definitive proof, but because the alternative, refusing to ask a question, would be negligent. What if this is a contact event, disguising complexity? What if this is a first real data point in what could eventually become the most important discovery in human history? And even more chillingly, What if it isn't the first, but simply the first one we've noticed? Adding to the confusion is the behavior of Voyager itself. Spacecraft, even intelligent probes, are not known for creative improvisation. They execute commands, follow code, and respond within defined systems. Voyager 1 is operating outside those expectations. Its reactivation of dormant subroutines from the 1980s wasn't a fluke. It was an action, purposeful but with no clear origin. If no command was sent from Earth, then the cause lies somewhere else. Was it an internal system response to an unknown external stimulus? Or was the stimulus itself intelligently crafted, perhaps using the probe's own systems as a relay? An interstellar puppet with an invisible hand? The reanimated code doesn't serve any observable purpose. It doesn't enhance communications, adjust trajectory, or fix a known issue. It loops endlessly, like a chant, or perhaps like a key repeatedly inserted into a lock, waiting for the right alignment. Scientists combed through the subroutine, attempting to understand what triggered it, but found nothing definitive. No radiation spike, no mechanical failure, no cosmic ray event. Just a moment of silence, followed by the old code awakening and a series of increasing,